Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Bill Newell, joined by just two sports writers this week, Matt Williams and Nick Giannino, both of the Salem News, and absent or on vacation this week, Phil Stacy and Nick Kukaru. So we're down Phil and Nick, but we still got one other Nick, and of course Matt here, and we're talking North Shore sports this week. Gentlemen, Matt, I want to start with you and just something that's not spring sports. We're going to go back to football, but you had a story on Twitter this past just a few days ago that Masconomet will be playing Bishop Fenwick on Thanksgiving. It looks like that could be a great Thanksgiving matchup, I think.
I think tremendous. Yeah, Masconomet has been off for a couple of Thanksgivings in a row. They, really haven't been able to find a dancing partner ever since North Andover absconded the Cape Ann League for the MVC. I think they play Andover now, which I guess feels like a pretty natural rivalry. And, nobody in the Cal wanted to play Masco on Thanksgiving Day. Of course, some of those rivalries go back 100 years. So obviously they weren't going to change some of those. And some of the smaller schools that don't have that history are, no match for Masco. That wouldn't have been great. So they played Pingree on the holiday twice. They played Everett a couple of times, which I don't think is any cup of tea for anybody. And, Fenwick over the years has been in a similar position. Their Thanksgiving game has changed quite a few times. They had Austin Prep for a while, and then St. Mary's, and then Malden Catholic. They played Malden Catholic in the early days, and, then they played them again the last couple of years. But because MC has joined the Catholic Conference regularly now as full-time members, they're going to play St. John Shrewsbury instead. They're going to have a league game on Thanksgiving Day, and that opened up the door for Masco to get back in the game. And I think it's a great local matchup. I don't think Fenwick is punching above their weight class by any means, based on what we've seen over there the last few years. And, that's a game that should be competitive every year. And, two good communities, two good coaching staffs. I mean, really, really exciting. And, not just for us sports writers, because that's a way to kill two birds with one stone. That way we can hopefully get out and see all of our teams, right? Because
that's right. It's a win-win.
What happens every year. Yeah. There's more and more Thanksgiving games, and we can't get to them all. So if two of our teams are playing each other, I think that's a really good thing. Nick, as Coach Monagle would say, it should be a great matchup, so to speak.
I love it. Yeah, no, I can't. I'm looking forward to that matchup. I think it could turn into a little rivalry here. Willie, did they sign an agreement or anything on how many years they're going to keep this, or is it just start with 1 year and see where it goes, kind of thing?
It's going to be at least two. I mean, the first one will be in Boxford, and the second one at Peabody. At Donaldson Field there at Fenwick, and I presume that unless something crazy happens in one of their leagues and they have to play a league game, right, that the plan is for this to continue for quite some time. I mean, Coach Woods when I talked to him, was really excited about it, and mentioned the last time he played Masco was when the Bunkers and Chris Splinter was playing, and it was Coach Pugh's, when he was there, and I think even one of those years it might have been one of the Bunkers against Bobby Tarr in like a really ridiculous running back matchup. So just really exciting, a lot of fun. So it sounds like hopefully it's the kind of thing that can continue for quite some time.
Well, Masco has a great football tradition, and as you mentioned, great coaching staff and players over there. And I think it's great for them to be back playing on Thanksgiving Day. So that'll be
absolutely
nice.
Absolutely. You felt for the kids these last couple of years, especially with this playoff system, because Masco won a playoff game, and I think they lost to Marblehead, the eventual Super Bowl champions, there in the second round, and it was a pretty competitive game. And I think it was like the fifth time they had played Marblehead in like 9 months or something. And because of last, the fall too, they played them twice and all this kind of stuff. So you really did feel bad for those guys. That was kind of a terrible way to end their careers. They deserved a Thanksgiving game, or at least another game, because there were no consolations this year after the second round too, because they eliminated those. So like all of a sudden, that last whistle was the last snap for those guys, and nobody's ready for that. I mean, I guess that's what happens in every other sport, soccer and baseball and basketball. You lose your tournament game and you go home, but I don't know, for football, that was weird, and I didn't like it. And so really, really heartened for those Masco guys that they're going to get the Thanksgiving game that everybody else has now.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Patriots Day. So we're recording this on Monday, late in the day, and a lot of Patriots action, Patriots Day action in the books. But Matt, maybe let's just start with some high school baseball. You were at the Danvers Peabody game today or Monday when Peabody pulled off another win, their second straight win. It was Swampscott over the weekend they defeated. Right.
Well, geez, last week I said that, Danvers was the story of the North Shore in baseball, and now they've lost 2 games in a row since then. So maybe I got to be a little bit careful here. I don't know. I don't want to.
Podcast jinx is on.
I don't want to create some kind of a Sports Illustrated curse or something. But
I'll tell you though, Matt, the Matt Williams jinx has a nice ring to it, though. You know what I mean?
It does rhyme. That's true. No, but I mean, I would say, pitcher's duel this morning. This was baseball, which was nice to see. You get the first couple weeks, sometimes things are a little sloppy. Guys have trouble finding the strike zone. It's a little cold out. The games can be long and a slog. This was on your toes baseball. Both pitchers and their teammates, with Steve Lemazny's show team. And, Mike Maroney, the youngster for Danvers, and Justin Powers, the grizzled veteran senior for Peabody. I mean, these guys were both on top of their games, through 5 innings. I think there were 82 total pitches. I'm not sure either one of them threw more than 13 pitches in any one inning. There was some great defensive plays in the game. So, things were moving fast. This was on your toes baseball. This was a good game. Could have gone either way. Peabody ends up pulling it out 2-zip, their second shutout win of the year. And they've won 2 in a row after beating Swampscott over the weekend in extra innings. Swampscott, another great team that's out there. They've only got the 1 loss so far this season. That was their first loss. So some good baseball there in the NEC. At the risk of putting a curse on the orange and black, I would say that the team of the week, the story of the week right now is going to be Beverly. The Panthers have won 3 in a row. Noah Guanci spins a shutout win over Peabody. That's Peabody's only loss, and Guanci was untouchable last week. That was awesome to watch. And then they get a comeback win over Gloucester. They're down a run going into the top of the 7th. Logan Petrosino hits a home run to tie it. They manufacture another run to go ahead. So I really like the way Beverly's playing baseball right now, and I would say they're my team of the week for this week. And if I come back here next Monday night and they've lost a couple of games in a row, then we really might have something here.
That's true. Any other notes from Patriots Day from whether it be at the marathon locally or anything else you guys heard of so far?
I haven't looked at the competitors, Willie. We had a long list of local, runners in this year's Boston Marathon in today's paper, Monday's paper.
Yeah.
Always a good turnout from the North Shore. We had some really high finishes last year on the women's side, but I don't think really any notables, Willie. I haven't looked at the final results here, but I didn't see anything. Sometimes there's a runner from Peabody or Salem or one of those big towns that does something special. But in terms of our coverage area, I haven't seen much.
I know there was the mayor, of Peabody ran.
Sure,
I don't know if he finished or not, but he was running. No locals, no Shalane Flanagan out there or anything like that. But it's always a fun event. Certainly everybody having a good time over there and everything.
They had a good day for it too. Nice weather, wasn't too hot.
Looks like I'm not sure if it's Katrina. I think it's Katrina, not Katarina, but Katrina Vassallo, the former Katrina Gravel of Peabody. She finished in 2:16. That was top 200 among the women. I'm getting her husband Dan Vassallo was an Olympic trials qualifier in the marathon. So I'm guessing there's not going to be too many people that finished faster than her. It looks like she come in just under 3 hours. 6:51 a mile. That's pretty ridiculous over 26 miles. I can't really do sub 7 for 3 miles. So that's pretty good. I'm having a hard time sorting the live results here by town. So I just threw in a couple of names that were on that list that maybe I had heard of. And that's one that is, pretty impressive.
Great to hear Mayor Betancourt of Peabody was running this year. It's it's got to be tougher than running for re-election even doing
In
the
that town
marathon. I mean,
anyway.
I may be wrong, but
And that I don't think Peabody's voted out an incumbent member since since a mayor, I should say, since like the 30s, right? Because I mean, Peter Theresian was like the longest serving mayor in the history of America or whatever for however many years he was in there. So I think you've got something there, Bill. I think that is probably harder than running for re-election. That's pretty good.
well, the mayor says if you're mayor of Peabody, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. There you go.
Well,
Right?
so it's funny.
Yeah.
I typed in his name here. It says last spotted at 35K. So I don't know if that sounds like it's a jungle or something. We're looking for an endangered species, last spotted. That's a
Well,
funny way they phrased it. Yeah.
Well, maybe the Associated Press will project him. We'll get a projection on his finish soon here.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I know.
Danvers. We don't want to be accused of homerism with the Tanners. I guess Danvers. Their field hockey coach, Kristen McCarthy, was running for charity. I'm sure is having a great time. And I guess their athletic trainer, Amanda, ran the marathon as well. So some pretty cool, pretty cool stuff over there in Danvers as well.
I know Henry Richards, the brother of Martin Richards, ran in the race today and finished as we speak on Monday. So
yeah, tremendous, great story.
So there you go. Well, there's a little marathon talk for you guys. Nick, what do you want to? Let's go to girls lacrosse that you've been focusing on that.
Sure. No games for me on Marathon Monday, but there was a couple good matchups. Masco's going against Peabody today, which was a game of two brand new coaches. You got Manny Lopes and Masconomet, who I wrote about that team today. They're off to a 4-2 start. Barring today's game against Peabody.
So Masco ended up winning. It was 14-13, so it was a barn burner.
Oh, I thought they were at 4:00. So okay.
No, it was this morning.
It's over.
So there you go. Burner, yeah.
14-13 Masco win, so they moved to 5-2 then. Willie, any highlights from that game you got?
I didn't get any names or anything. I know it was like just back and forth, and I don't think anybody ever had a big lead or anything. Just kind of one of those just kind of last possession, anybody can win kind of deals, and a good competitive game. I mean, obviously, as Nick noted in his column today, the quick sticks, you got the experience edge there for Masco, and I think it probably in a tight game probably paid off.
Yeah. Like I wrote about, they did graduate four more than four seniors, but four really key seniors on that team from last year, including Morgan Bavardi, the talented goal scorer there that's now playing in college, I believe. But and then they brought in a new coach in Manny Lopes after, having a new coach last year in Paige Rogers. She stepped down, and Manny Lopes comes in from Gloucester. He had coached at Revere as well. He's got a ton of experience in the game, but it seems like they're picking up where they left off. They went undefeated in 13 regular season games last year in the COVID shortened season, made it all the way to the North title game. And, speaking with Lopes, that Masco team last year kind of rolled through the NEC competition. I don't think they'll do that this year. I think they'll have some competitive games like we just talked about with Peabody today. But what's going to, pay dividends for them is he scheduled 7 out-of-conference games against some really good competition. One of those being Newburyport. That was one of their 2 losses so far. They had a 1-goal loss to Needham, but Newburyport's obviously a really good powerhouse team from the Cape Ann League, and they're going to play Manchester Essex. They're going to play Dover Sherburne. They're going to play Notre Dame of Hingham. So some really good, tests going into the playoffs for them, assuming they make the playoffs. They're 5-2 right now. I wouldn't see any scenario, where they didn't make it into the tournament. But yeah, they're going to end the season with 4 out-of-conference games, and I think that could be huge for them. You see a lot of teams doing that, across all sports now with the new format, where it's statewide, and the strength of schedule really matters. Even if they lose those games by a couple goals, it's going to help them. So I think it's got to be hard for those girls at Masco going through 2-3 coaches in 3 years, but they somehow are still finding a way to win. There's a lot of talent over there, and Lopes is happy with what he sees. I mean, they can score, they can defend, and same can be said about Peabody. Same can be said about Beverly. I think there's a lot of, teams with similar athleticism, similar skill sets, and similar depth in the NEC, which is going to make for an interesting race for the titles coming down the stretch.
Matt, any you guys want to check in? I know Phil is our boys lacrosse guru, and he's not here obviously with a vacation. But any have you any boys lacrosse notes to share with us at all this week, guys?
Well, Willie had mentioned just before we hopped on here about St. John's Prep. They got their first loss. This was a team that a lot of people thought might run the table, might be the best team in the state. They're ranked in the top 5 right now, I think, in the most recent rankings. They haven't had the MIA power rankings, but I'm talking, Globe, Herald, that kind of thing.
I mean, they had to have been number 1, right? Being defending champs and all, but I mean,
some teams had them a little lower. Some places had them a little lower, 2 or 3, but
blasphemy. Yeah.
Regardless, they lost. They had a loss to Acton Boxborough. I think it was 8-4. Obviously, a good lacrosse program over there in Acton Boxborough year in and year out, but so they're beatable. Obviously a really talented team, really deep team, well coached, but Division I is no joke.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't run the table last year either. I mean, so, Coach Pinchon's a smart cookie, and I'm sure that, they're going to work on the things they need to work on. And, that's a team that, has bigger goals, right? So sometimes, like the Patriots here on Patriots Day, maybe you don't want to go 17-0. Sometimes you learn more from having a bad day. And obviously the weather was pretty bad there on Saturday, and lacrosse, they'll play in anything as long as it's not lightning. So, I mean, I'm not like making excuses for the Eagles or anything like that, but that's a little bit of adversity that they faced, and hopefully will make them better in the long run if you're a fan of theirs and are looking for them to defend that crown. Because certainly, they have all kinds of talent over there, and now they know that, they're not bulletproof. If they don't play well or mind their P's and Q's, they can get beat. And sometimes that's a lesson that helps a team more than it hurts it, when you look at the big picture.
And it's early season, which helps too. They got plenty of games here to rip off a big win streak and kind of learn from that loss. So
right. I mean, they had some big wins earlier too. I mean, I think they beat BC High last week and beat Severian in a back and forth game too. So I mean, they definitely it's tough to say. It's tough to stay sky high for every game, and I'm sure every one of their opponents, has a big bullseye on the back of them where they're the defending champs. So, maybe not necessarily the worst thing in the world, that they know some things that they have to work on and stuff like that. And, it looks like in the NEC, Marblehead is one of the teams to beat. They kind of took it to Masco over the weekend. I was a little surprised at the margin of that particular game. I figured, maybe Masco would be the biggest competition for the Magicians there. And, didn't seem to happen. And you just look at that team and some familiar names, for the podcast listeners out there, your Josh Robertsons, your Connor Cronin's, they're wearing different sorts of shoulder pads, but they're doing the same type of damage, it looks like.
I'm just thinking as you were talking, Matt, that I'm surprised that even the lacrosse teams even played this week knowing that Phil was away. I mean, let's just take a week off. We'll come back. We'll double up on the games the next several weeks, but we don't want Phil not being there. So
I just, you have to, you couldn't, I'm glad they did, some of the parents that probably want to take vacation during vacation week would approve that plan. So they probably the coaches would probably try, don't tell anyone, keep it a secret, because we don't want, we don't want these parents getting any ideas.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, any other local sports or names in the news you want to share with us? I want to ask Nick about the Celtics here quickly before we have plenty of time left, but, any other local names you want to drop before we move on here?
Well,
one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to jump back to Masco. I didn't really talk about any of their players, the girls team, but I mentioned Morgan Bavardi, who graduated last year. She's got 2 younger sisters on the team, Taylor and what's the other name, Matt? It's escaping me right now.
Is it Riley?
Riley,
is that the youngest one?
Were they basketball plegers too, Nick? Or not?
Yeah, I believe. I know Taylor was. I'm not sure about Riley. She's only a freshman.
Riley was like kind of the 8th or 9th man there off. For I think for her first year there with the hoop, but I'm sure she'll be progressing, as they say, as she gets older.
Yeah, but Taylor's a key player for them, a junior, I believe, and Riley a freshman. Manny Lopes, the coach, again, was just blown away by their athleticism and what they can do on the field and their drive and all that. So clearly a very gifted athletic family there, the Bavardis. Emmy Clark comes back. She scores a lot of goals for them. Jolie Dalton's a senior leader for them. Liza Brockelman. They just have a lot of depth on that team. I mean, I could go on and on with names, but Masco could be scary again. So I just wanted to give a shout out to some of those girls.
I know
I
I
was gonna
saw.
say,
Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Bill.
No. You go. Mine's not local, so you do yours first then.
Oh, I was just going to mention Endicott's baseball team. They are, if they're not ranked in the top 25 in the country this week, they're going to be pretty soon. I don't know if they've juiced the balls in the Commonwealth Coast Conference or what, but they are flying out of the ballpark for the Gulls. They have, it looks like 43 home runs now on the season as a team.
Jeez.
And that is ridiculous. That is in the top 10 in the country in home runs. It's just absurd. And the leader in home runs is a guy out of St. Mary's of Lynn, John Mulready, the catcher from Peabody. He is having a tremendous season. He's slugging .765 so far. He's got 8 bombs. He was just named the player of the week for the conference. This past week in a couple of wins, he hit .636. He hit 2 home runs, and he is just pounding the baseball. But so are a lot of guys for Endicott. They have. I'm looking at the thing now. They have 4 guys with more than 5 home runs, and that's in 26 games. So they got 43 bombs in 26 games. That's what just about 2 home runs a game. It's probably about 1.7, 1.8 home runs a game. And that is really, really good. And I mean, they're hitting .319 as a team too. So it's not just power for them. They're putting a ball in play, but it's been offensive fireworks over there. I think they're 20-5 now on the season. So, I mean, if they're not 21-5, even better, 21-5. So, I mean, if they're not nationally ranked, they're going to be pretty soon.
And didn't they get someone the other day or last week go 5 for 5 with like 8 ribbies?
Something like that. Yeah, I think that was one of the guys. Yeah, exactly. And I think he had a home run or 2 in that game. So ridiculous. They are really putting up some ridiculous offensive numbers over there. I talked to a couple people that have seen the team live, and they say the way the ball just explodes off the bat is really impressive. Of course, if you've watched them play or a high school game over there, they have that big rock kind of out in the outfield, right? Where sometimes the college students will sit, even though they don't want them to. And they say they've been a couple of home runs that have not just hit the rock, but gone over the rock. I mean, these have been moonshots over there.
Yeah, that's a great place to watch a game too. I mean, it's a great field, so that's a nice take. Folks ought to take a look at the schedules in the news or go to the Endicott Sports website and check out when they're at home, because their season's probably wrapping up sooner than we think here with the college schedule for it. So you got to jump on that right away. That kind of leads me to this. I was just briefly going through Twitter this afternoon. I saw where Manny Ramirez Jr., baseball player, is signed with the Brockton Rocks, just a whatever,
wow.
Futures League. So I thought it was the real Manny Ramirez. I thought it was Manny Senior. No, but
yeah, he's probably still playing somewhere in the DR or something.
Yeah, exactly. But
somebody asked Derek January, how did he not end up on the Navigators? This is a missed opportunity.
They've lost. I don't know how he slipped through the cracks there. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, anyways, Nick, Celtics. So they're 1-0, had them all the way on Easter Sunday, beating the Nets.
Yeah, what a game. I was there. The Garden crowd was incredible. They were ready for playoff basketball. The team was ready. A lot of fouls to start off the game, for anyone watch, which kind of took away from it a little bit, slowed the game down, but it got better as the game went on. And just two really good teams, 2 really good offensive teams. The defense for both teams didn't show up too much until the end of that game, but Kyrie was going crazy. He didn't seem to be bothered by the fans. Well, he was affected and kind of gave it back to him a little bit, but didn't affect his game. Some of those shots he hit in the fourth quarter were incredible. Obviously, the Nets made that comeback. I think the Celtics were up 15 at one point in the third, ended up being up 11 going into the fourth, and then the Nets made that big comeback. But that's one of those games that the Celtics would have lost, earlier this season or last year. But it just shows how much they've grown as a unit. They trust each other, and I think the last 30 or so seconds was kind of epitomized the way they've been playing down the stretch here heading into the playoffs. They get the huge defensive stop on Brooklyn, double teaming Kyrie. Al Horford, 35 years old, played, lights out. And he came over to double team twice on that final defensive possession. They forced Kevin Durant into a tough contested three. He misses. They get the rebound. Udoka, has the, what, to not call the timeout. And, they get a really good shot. Jaylen Brown drives it into the lane, kicks it out to Marcus Smart, who, again, a couple months ago, definitely last year, earlier in his career, he probably would have taken that shot. He had two opportunities to take the shot. He could have taken the three. They ran two guys out at him. He gets in the lane. He could have taken a little pull up there. Instead, he finds a cutting Tatum for the game winner. So just a good win and a much needed win. I think if they had, let the Nets come back and take that one and steal that game one in the Garden, that would have been tough. But to get the game winner at the buzzer, that completely flips everything, and they get momentum going into game two. So this is a series that's probably going to go the distance, I would think, at least 6 games. But the Nets just have too much firepower not to steal a couple games, especially playing at home. Durant's not going to go 9 for 23 or 24, whatever he was in game one. And give a lot of credit to Tatum. I thought he D'd him up really well, and they threw different looks at Durant. But one of the two is going to beat you every night, more than likely both of them. It's going to come down to the role players. And again, I think the Celtics showed their depth. And, this is a team without Robert Williams right now to defend the paint. So they held their own. I know, again, it wasn't a textbook defensive effort for them. They let up 114 points. And when you look at Brooklyn, they had some, defensive lapses as well, even on that final possession. But more credit to the Celtics than anything else, I think. Going to be a really fun series.
Good. Matt, anything else you want to share with us this week?
Oh, fun for some people the series is going to be. For others, it's going to be one stress-inducing event after another. Geez, this is.
I was at the game and texting Willie. I was like, "Oh, do you see that last play?" And he said, "No, I shut it off. I couldn't take it."
Yeah, it's true. I can't take it anymore. I can't.
As a Lakers fan, I don't feel too emotional one way or the other. I enjoy watching good basketball. I enjoy the atmosphere there. I enjoy writing about the team and covering them. But I'm not going to be one to shy away from the action because they're blowing a lead or something like that. But hey, they came back. They got it done for you.
I did put it back on for the last minute, the last 2 possessions, but I also missed a few in there. And so, like you said, I don't think I missed much of anything. So that
probably missed a Kyrie bucket or two.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't miss anything that I didn't want to miss. Let's put it that way,
Good. Well, gentlemen, on that note, anything special to look forward to this week? Looking at games. I mean, you guys got your eyes on anything to watch this coming week? Anything special?
Let's take a look at the old schedule here.
Just throwing this one at you quickly here.
Yeah, well, we got Celtics game 2 on Wednesday. I'll have more coverage from that. I'm sure everyone listening to this will be watching it anyway, but just in case. Tuesday, Willie, not really many good games. How's Burlington? Masco, that could be a decent take. Baseball.
Yeah, non-league, could be
Non-league
interesting.
game. A lot of early games this week, so make sure you guys are looking at our schedule in the paper and online because of the school vacation. We got a lot of 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, sporting events this week. So
that's true. Yeah. Excellent point. Yeah. So I would say, baseball wise, Danvers Masco on Wednesday. Masco has been up and down a little bit. I think they're 2-3, and of course Danvers has lost the 2 in a row. So both teams definitely looking to get on the on the straight and narrow there. And then I guess Thursday, I would look at Manchester Essex and Hamilton Wenham. The Gens are 2-1. Manchester Essex is somewhat surprising, 3-0. I think, their best pitcher transferred to Governor's Academy and they bounced back anyway. I mean, Vaughn O'Leary's, hitting the ball really well for them. They're a threat there, along with Amesbury and the Cal Baker. So I would say that's definitely a game to watch for the week as well, if we want to look outside sort of the greater NEC area.
And Marblehead and Danvers girls across on Thursday at that same time, 10 in the morning.
Nice.
That should be a pretty good take.
Always. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that at Marblehead or at Danvers?
I believe it's at Danvers. Yep.
But you guys can check that out in the paper. Yeah, absolutely.
The boys are playing at Marblehead, which also could be a decent game. So
there you go. Good stuff. All right.
Very nice.
Gentlemen, thank you. And we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Bill.